Creating custom Pokemon for you! Welcome back, everyone, to the show where we select lucky commenters to spin a series of random wheels that give us factors for a Pokemon that we then create just for you. It's gonna be an awesome episode today, y'all. We're gonna make 3 amazing custom Pokemon as always, so if you end up liking today's video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And of course, if you want a custom Pokemon for yourself, don't forget to leave a comment because I'll be randomly selecting people from this video's comments for the next episode. But without further ado, let's get into the first Pokemon! And this one will be for Misty Magius, who's been watching since episode 6. Thanks for your patience. So alright, Misty, let's start by getting the power level of your Pokemon, and you are going to be a legendary for the first Pokemon of the day. That is absolutely high. And it means that now we'll spin this wheel to see what type of legendary you'll be, the box art villain side or trio, and you are a side legendary. Cool. So now let's spin this wheel to see what typing your side legendary will be. Your first type is the ground type. That is my favorite type of all time, so this is already good. And ground psychic type, that's very unique typing. I feel like we can make something cool with that. And the last step before we see which Pokemon looks like, let's see what its X factor is going to be, and it is a signature ability. Those are always fun. Get ready to see a Pokemon that you might have actually heard of already. Your Pokemon is Idol, the unidentified Pokemon. This Pokemon is shrouded in mystery, as hundreds of years before recorded history, it suddenly erupted from the ground without warning. Its intense psychic energy causing all nearby structures to rise into the air as the sky itself changed color, bending to the will of this incredible creature. But then, as quickly as it appeared, Idol flew away, leaving the few witnesses to its power bewildered and awe-inspired. The people even began creating statues of the creature they saw in an attempt to understand it further. And this appeared to summon Idol once more, who seemed amused by the people's creation, deciding to infuse them with a small fraction of its power, which caused them to spark alive. And it's these statues that would go on to become the Pokemon Clay Doll, as referenced in its several Pokedex entries. And Idol's signature ability is called Grand Rising, an ability which grants levitation to itself and its ally, making Idol an incredible Pokemon in double battles, as not only is it able to protect its teammates from opponents' spikes and ground-type moves, it also gives itself free range to use moves like Earthquake without the fear of damaging its ally, making it one of the most oddly supportive Pokemon of all time. In terms of stats, Idol actually has really good physical attack as well as special defense, with everything else just being pretty solid. And for the shiny, I went with this cool teal color to go with the alien theme, and I just thought it looked nice with the white. But now let's get into the second Pokemon. And this one will be for Woopalicious, who says that they hope we get to make a convergent Wooper soon. And as an obvious fan of Wooper and its evolutions, I hope so too. But anyway, Woopalicious, let's start by getting the power level of your Pokemon, and you are going to be regular.
There is something wrong with that.
Now let's see how many times your Pokemon can evolve, and you are going to get the split evolution. That is absolutely insane. It has been forever since we got one of those. That is super rare. So now let's see what typing this split evolution Pokemon's going to be. Your first type is the fire type. That is a very cool type to make designs for sure. And fire dark type. That is super cool typing for a split evolution. This Pokemon's sick. And last step before we see which Pokemon looks like, let's see if it has an X factor, and you do, a signature new mechanic. Those are always super difficult to do, but they are always awesome, so this Pokemon is absolutely stacked. Get ready to see a Pokemon that's always in its feelings. The first stage of your Pokemon is Paimon, the emotion Pokemon. These Pokemon are extremely volatile to their emotions, often going from extreme happiness to terrible sadness in a matter of seconds. And this obviously makes them very difficult to raise, so they're only owned by the most patient of trainers. And it's this Pokemon's hyper emotions that are actually key to its evolution, as upon reaching level 16, Paimon's with nature that sound happy or have positive connotations will evolve into Gleeruption. These Pokemon perfectly embody every positive emotion in the book, being seen as extremely confident, happy, and brave, never running from a challenge. However, this can work to its detriment, as while it does have good offensive stats, its defenses are quite poor, meaning this Pokemon's overconfidence will often lead to it losing battles as it frequently underestimates its enemy. However, on the other side of the coin, when a Paimon reaches level 16 while having a nature with a negative connotation, it will evolve into Skoro. These Pokemon embody every negative emotion, as they're extremely shy, sad, and unsure of their own ability. And while this does make them very fearful of the opponent's next move, therefore giving them good defenses, its inability to believe in itself makes its offenses quite bad. So while it doesn't underestimate its opponents, it does underestimate itself, causing it to lose battles due to holding itself back. Now, I know what you're thinking. These poor Pokemon could be so powerful if they didn't have such glaring weaknesses. Well, don't worry, as their new mechanic actually allows them to evolve once more. However, it is pretty difficult to pull off, as to evolve, you'll have to use Gleeruption and Skoro in the same battle and have them both level up, at which point they'll combine, evolving into Cerbermen. A perfect combination of the two wolves' extreme emotions, Cerbermen is an incredible threat in any battle, as it's highly confident when attacking, allowing it to strike at full force, while still being extremely timid on defense, making it always ready to react to the opponent's moves. In terms of stats, Cerbermen is absolutely insane. It's got a base stat total of 590, which almost puts it on par with pseudo-legendaries, so this thing is absolutely insane, but it is hard to get, so that makes sense. And for the shiny, I went with this really cool green and orange color for the flames, which to me looked like Camo. But now let's get into the third Pokemon, and this one will be for Mike Man. I'm glad you think the Pokemon get better every time. That's always my goal. But anyways, Mike Man, let's start by getting the power level of your Pokemon, and you are going to be regular.
That's absolutely terrible. I'm sure you would much prefer the legendary.
Now let's see how many times your Pokemon can evolve, and you are going to get 1, which makes you a 2-stage evolution line. Now let's see what typing your Pokemon's going to be. Your first type is going to be the electric type. That's cool. I feel like that's a pretty rare type in our region. An electric dark type, that's actually very rare typing in real Pokemon, so that's very cool. And the last step before we see which Pokemon looks like, let's see if it has an X Factor, and you do, a Mega Evolution. That is my favorite one. This Pokemon just got awesome. This little thing is Stone Cold. The first stage of your Pokemon is Gorglow, the Flash Pokemon. These Pokemon have a very interesting appearance, as their bulbous heads resemble a large eyeball. However, upon further inspection, their true eyes appear to be hidden in their tentacles on the underside of their body. And while they aren't very strong in battle, these Pokemon still have a very effective way to keep away threats. As when attacked, Gorglow will reveal its true eye, using it to create a massive flash of light that will temporarily blind anything looking its way, allowing the Pokemon to make a hasty retreat before the foe can regain its sight. At level 34, it would evolve into Gorgate. While at first glance, these Pokemon don't seem like anything too special, they actually contain one of the most unique and powerful abilities in the Pokemon world. As while their true eyes are still able to produce a large flash of light, this light no longer simply blinds the opponent, as it now has the strange power to momentarily cover them in stone. And this is reflected in its signature move, Lithify, an electric type status move that will change the target's typing to pure rock type, as well as inflict them with paralysis, all but guaranteeing the opponent's demise, with the only downside being Gorgaze must then take 1 turn to recharge. When exposed to Gorgite, it would evolve into Mega Gorgaze. This ocean beast no longer keeps its true eye hidden, keeping it constantly illuminated and permanently petrifying all that look its way. In terms of stats, Mega Gorgaze is a glass cannon, as it's got really good speed and special attack, but its physical defense is terrible. And regular Gorgaze has the exact same thing going on, but of course its base stat total is much lower. And for the shiny, I went with this red color to resemble an agitated eye, because it's got the eye pattern on top of its head. But that's gonna do it for today's episode, y'all. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe before you go. And if you want to watch more episodes of the Custom Pokémon series, then there's a bunch in this playlist. I'm gonna get right back to making some awesome custom Pokemon for you, so I'll see you in the next episode, but until then, peace.